James and Sarah had always trusted Max, their 4-year-old golden retriever. He was more than just a pet, he was family. Max had been by their side since Lily was born, always watching over her with gentle eyes and a wagging tail. But something had changed. Lately, every night when they tucked Lily into bed, Max would sit by her door, his ears alert, his body tense. Then, just as they turned off the lights, he would let out a low, warning growl. At first, they thought it was just a habit, maybe a strange reaction to the dark. "It's just a phase," James said, scratching behind Max's ears. "Maybe he's just restless at night." But Sarah wasn't convinced. "He's never growled at her before," she said. "Something's not right." Over the next few nights, it only got worse. Max wasn't just growling anymore, he was barking. Every night at exactly 2:47 a.m., Max would stand outside Lily's door, his body rigid, his eyes locked on the darkness beyond. His barks were sharp, urgent, a clear warning. Then one night, something happened that made Sarah's blood run cold. It was 3 a.m. when Sarah awoke to the sound of Max snarling, an angry, deep, guttural sound that sent shivers down her spine. She shot up in bed, heart pounding. "James," she whispered, shaking her husband awake. "Do you hear that?" James groggily sat up. "What the?" Max's barking grew louder, ferocious. It sounded like he was ready to attack. Sarah and James rushed down the hallway to Lily's room. The sight stopped them in their tracks. Max was standing in front of Lily's bed, his teeth bared, his fur bristling, his growls deep and menacing. His eyes were locked onto something in the shadows near the window. Sarah's breath caught. James flipped on the light. The room was empty. But Max didn't stop. He lunged toward the window, barking viciously. James hurried over, checking the latch. That's when he noticed it, the window was unlocked. A chill ran through him. "I locked this before bed," he murmured. "I'm sure of it." Sarah took a shaky step closer. "James, someone was in here." Max's instincts were right. The next day, James installed new locks on all the windows, but Max's behavior didn't stop. That night, at the exact same time, 2:47 a.m., Max began growling again. James and Sarah sat in bed, listening. "Why is he doing this?" Sarah whispered. James rubbed his face. "I don't know, but I'm not ignoring him anymore." Determined to find out what was happening, James set up security cameras in Lily's room. If Max was sensing something, they were going to see it for themselves. What the footage revealed made their stomachs drop. The next morning, James reviewed the footage, expecting to see Max pacing outside Lily's room. But as he played the video, his hands began to tremble. At 2:46 a.m., everything was still. Lily was fast asleep, Max curled up beside the door. Then, at 2:47 a.m., something shifted. A shadow. A dark figure moved near the window. Then, the window slowly opened. Sarah gasped. "Oh my God!" Max's head shot up in the video. His ears perked, his body stiffened. Within seconds, he was growling, then barking wildly. The shadow froze. And then, it disappeared. The window shut, just as quickly as it had opened. James rewound the footage. Someone was in her room. Sarah covered her mouth, tears welling in her eyes. How long has this been happening? They had ignored Max's warnings for weeks. And Lily had been in danger this entire time. James immediately called the police, but without clear footage of the intruder's face, there was little they could do. "We need to catch him in the act," James said grimly. That night, he and Sarah set a trap. They locked all the doors, set up extra cameras, and waited in their bedroom, the baby monitor on full volume. Max sat outside Lily's door, more alert than ever. Then, at 2:47 a.m., he growled. James's pulse quickened. He grabbed the bat he had placed by the bed. Sarah held her breath. Then, a faint creak. The window in Lily's room was opening. James bolted from the bed. Sarah followed. By the time they burst into Lily's room, they saw a dark figure hunched by the crib, reaching toward Lily. Max lunged. A terrifying snarl filled the room as Max sank his teeth into the intruder's arm. The man screamed. He tried to flee, but Max wasn't letting go. James tackled him to the ground. Sarah grabbed Lily and held her close, shaking. Within minutes, the police arrived. The man was arrested. And when the police investigated, they discovered something horrifying. The intruder wasn't just a random burglar, he had been watching their house for weeks. He had targeted Lily. He's done this before, one of the officers told them. We've been trying to catch him for months. James and Sarah felt sick. They had been sleeping peacefully, unaware that a predator had been creeping into their home. And if it hadn't been for Max, they might have lost their daughter forever. That night, Max didn't sleep outside Lily's room. He slept in bed with them, right between James and Sarah. James stroked his golden fur. You saved her. Sarah wiped her tears. You saved all of us. The next day, they took Max to the pet store and let him pick out anything he wanted. Lily hugged him tightly. You're my best friend, Max. And from that day forward, Max was more than just a dog. He was their guardian. Their hero. Their angel in disguise. Max, the dog who knew before anyone else. Dogs are more than just pets, they are protectors, family, and heroes. Max sensed something no one else did. He knew when something was wrong, and he refused to let his family ignore it. This is why we should always trust our animals. They see what we don't. They feel what we can't. And sometimes, they save lives. If this story touched your heart, subscribe for more incredible animal stories. Because sometimes, the best heroes have 4 legs. Pawprint sparkles.